You ready?
Yep. I think so. Is there anything that you want to make sure we talk about for you?
Nope.
Okay.
Great.
Perfect.
Let's make some content, dude.
Yeah. Over coffee.
Yeah.
Content over coffee.
Delicious.
Ooh. How I sound.
Great.
Great. Perfect. I'm Sister Lisa.
And I'm Brother Dan. And this is a little podcast show called Siblings in Zion. Yes, you too can start a podcast and you blab into your microphone and then you put it out there and for literally hundreds of people to listen to and enjoy. Maybe.
Hundreds.
I don't know.
The masses.
But we're doing it.
It's crazy.
This is wild, dude.
Oh, wow.
This podcast episode is brought to you by coffee.
Oh, I should order more apostate coffee.
Yeah, they make some good stuff. You want to sponsor us? Cool.
Who, apostate?
Yeah. I'm not listening. We're not in the algorithm. Fuck.
Okay, I have a few things to discuss
Good.
today.
Let's hear it.
All right.
Okay.
Perfect.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I lost my job.
Yeah.
I've never been better.
We've got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off.
I wanted to talk first about my first tattoo.
Oh, yeah. Which I still haven't seen, by
Which
the
you've
way.
never seen. How
Oh,
much of it can you see?
Pretty much all of it.
Yeah.
That's cool. Got that red in there.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah. It's a butterfly.
Yeah.
And it's called the Common Mormon.
Would you look at that?
Don't copy me, okay?
Thematic.
I know it's really smart, really
No,
clever.
it's very clever.
I know it's very clever, totally original.
But it's mine.
It's
I did
mine. I didn't do it. A very talented
it. Well, yeah.
tattoo artist did it. And I never thought that I would think something was worth getting tattooed on my body.
Mhm.
But through conversation with my boyfriend, we realized that would actually make sense and be beautiful
Mhm.
and symbolic. And
With your what?
with my what?
Your who?
My boyfriend?
Who the f*** is this? Just kidding. We like him.
I like that it's well done. It's exactly
It's very
what I
well done.
wanted. It's right where I wanted it. It's exactly the colors that I wanted.
Mhm.
What is cool about it is that it can morph the way that it looks to look like other poisonous butterflies in the area.
Don't eat me.
Don't eat me.
Yeah, I have still yet to find something worth putting on my body.
I know every place would feel different to have tattooed,
Mhm.
but based on how that felt for me, I don't think I would ever get another tattoo.
A lot of people have the opposite.
They love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
And they got a bunch.
adrenaline. Yeah. It was really painful.
It was harrowing.
Yeah. A lot of deep breathing, a lot of toe curling, a lot of just really trying to get through it. Just because that area for my body was really tender. And the person who was tattooing me was like, "You're doing a really good job. I know that this is a really uncomfortable area to be tattooed. Like, I'm really impressed." And we got it all done in like 2.5 hours.
Oof.
Like line work and
Woof.
shading and color and stuff. It was really great. I had a moment when she was placing the stencil where she thought it looked really good. And I looked at it and I was like, fuck, it's so close, but I've already had her change it once. Do I dare be annoying and ask her to like slightly reposition it?
Yeah.
And I had to just tell myself that
It's forever, man.
it's forever and it's for me, and she's not the one who's going to have to see it every day.
Yeah.
So I had to really like push down my people pleasing. So I had her change it again, and then I was like, okay, that feels right.
Yeah, that would really bother me.
If it wasn't what you wanted. Yeah.
And then obviously you watched all 40 hours of General Conference, right?
Then clearly, I'm just a common ex-Mormon. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
With a podcast.
I did not. Duh. I did not watch General Conference at all whatsoever. What would you like to say about it, if anything?
Nobody watches conference more closely than ex-Mormons.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Just not this ex-Mormon.
No. But people were freaking out about Russell Nelson, President, Prophet.
President.
Russell M. Nelson.
M&M's.
Look it up. Is he 100 yet?
99. Yeah. He was born in 1924.
My goodness.
September 9th. So wait, this September he'll be 100?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see.
Do you think he's going to make it?
People think he's already dead. I mean, I don't know how serious they really are saying that, but he did look different in his appearance on TV.
Very strange.
And he was definitely photoshopped or green screened in front of one of those big plushy chairs they're always in, but he was actually in a wheelchair.
Weird.
And his face looked fuller, which would be odd for...
Maybe it's a side effect of medications or something.
That could be.
Like
maybe
swelling.
I think...
17th president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
I think people were guessing he was possibly on steroids of some kind, which I guess would make sense. But yeah, who cares?
Yeah, all right. Well.
And, oh yeah, they're doubling down on you need to wear your garments every day the correct way.
Every day, okay? The correct way.
And you need to buy them from us and only us.
That's right. Oh. David Archuleta. Hello.
I haven't listened to that song, but people love it.
It's great. I think it's sweet.
What's it called?
Held Together.
Oh man, Mormons are...
It's really not your speed, but...
Shitting all over him.
Good.
They just can't accept it.
Oh, Davey?
Yeah.
Poor Davey.
Yeah. I looked up to him so much. I just can't believe it. Look what he's done.
Look what he's done. He's going to Coachella.
So sad. Yeah, they're losing their minds about him. It's hilarious.
Well, I'm happy for him.
Yeah. It's only a matter of time.
And he's really got that.
And if anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, he
did not win.
He's been around for like 15
American
years.
Idol.
He was on American Idol.
He's famous for not winning American Idol.
Right. Singer. He was Mormon. They really ate that shit up.
He went on a mission to Argentina.
Oh. Did he take a break from the industry?
Big sacrifice.
Oh, wow. So faithful. And he came out as gay at some point in the recent past.
Mm-hmm.
Was still like hemming and hawing. Is he in? Is he out? Blah, blah, blah. Now he's definitely out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his mother is as well?
Mm-hmm. As far as I know.
So, yeah. Very divisive.
Yeah. He's really got that market cornered, though. The ex-Mormon pop star.
Yeah. There's a few of them.
He's doing good work.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I wanted to talk about is just an update about my feelings around counseling based on the previous podcast episode we released, just to address that because it's been some time.
Yeah, you want to sum up what your grievances were?
Yeah, just that it felt culty.
Yeah.
Felt like I was entering the cult of counseling and I was having some friction with one of my instructors.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up having a conversation one-on-one where we were both able to be vulnerable about what was really going on for each of us instead of making a story up about what the other person was thinking or doing. It ended up being really insightful for me. Mm-hmm. And she helped me understand a pattern of behavior that I have where when I feel triggered, I shut down, I withdraw, and then that leaves room for interpretation on her end because she didn't know why. And so she made up her own story based on her experience and the person that she is. It was really healing to be able to share what was actually happening. And she was able to validate and support me because she knew what was happening. So she helped me see that I was actively being triggered by the structure of that experience. Then she could kind of tailor the experience for me.
Nice. Yeah, you definitely seemed relieved after that.
Yeah, I feel a lot.
And you've had a lot better time in school.
Yeah, I feel a lot more comfortable. And I feel like now I know how to own that about me.
Mhm.
I think that's really good to be aware of going forward for anyone that I work with who has a position of power over me.
Mm.
Like, hey, sometimes when this happens, I show up this way. And that's going to happen, and it's going to look like this. And I'm going to have to learn how to navigate that because this will keep happening.
Mm.
So it was really great to have an experience where I engaged in conflict and came out on the other side with more understanding and a deeper appreciation for someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really grateful that it was with her because not everyone would take the time to like examine what was coming up for them and their part in that. And then to give me like the grace, so to speak, to be truthful and really just change our perspective on each other.
Hmm.
And I knew that we would have interactions going forward. So it's really nice that that got kind of resolved. Because that would be horrible to carry that tension into future situations and classes and stuff. Yeah, now I know a little bit better how to engage with not wanting to face something and doing it in a way that feels good for me. Because that's going to happen. It's still scary though.
Sure.
I mean, I'm in a group counseling class now and I don't want to do it. So we'll see how that goes. Did that make sense what I said?
Yep.
Great. I just didn't want to sound angry and bitter in the podcast world forever. Just wanted to clear that up. I'm growing.
Yeah. Okay? Look at me.
I'm fucking learning some shit. All right?
I already have to beep out like 5 expletives in this episode.
Oh, fuck.
I'll keep that one in. Only that one.
I just finished reading The Testaments, the sequel to The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah. Margaret Atwood?
Yes.
How was it?
It was great, honestly.
So it's a direct sequel to The Handmaid's Tale?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With a lot of time in between, like 30 years or something.
Yeah, because that came out in like 85, something like that.
Yeah, late 80s, yeah. I really appreciated the first one. But the second one, there was something about... It's one of those books that's written from different perspectives, from different characters, and it alternates throughout the book. There was something about reading in more detail the nuts and bolts of that fictitious country, and
it's looking more and more like our country today.
That theocracy, because you read about one of the girls that grew up there, and you read from her perspective, and it was really cathartic for me to read because I didn't grow up in that kind of like religious theocracy with that kind of that level of control. But it feels like what we grew up in turned up to like 11, you know?
Yeah.
And the symbols in the book just really were powerful for me. And a lot of the comparisons that I drew in my own mind were really powerful, and it was just really cool to have someone draw all of these pieces together and create such a horrifying reality, but that still resonates so much, I think, with so many people's religious upbringings. One of the characters, the one that grew up in Gilead, she starts to deconstruct her belief in that system. And the author writes a paragraph about what it's like to lose your faith. And I just thought it was really relatable. She said, if you've never had a faith, you will not understand what that means to lose your faith. You feel as if your best friend is dying, that everything that defined you is being burned away, that you'll be left all alone. You feel exiled as if you are lost in a dark wood. It was like the feeling I'd had when Tabitha died, her mother figure.
We know that name.
We know that name. The world was emptying itself of meaning. Everything was hollow. Everything was withering. I just thought that was really poignant and funny that her mother figure was named Tabitha.
Tabitha!
For those of you who don't know, that was my temple name.
Yeah. That was a callback to one of the first season episodes.
Yeah. There were just a lot of things in that book about the girls growing up knowing that their only option was to get married and have children.
Yeah.
And some of them choosing to take their lives to avoid that experience because they knew it would kill them one way or another.
Wow.
It's really a haunting book. And I think it just highlights those ideas so well. And sometimes fiction can really just get at the heart of something in a way nonfiction can't. Because, she paints those characters in such a vivid way and you really feel for them because they're so young. And they know so much.
Yeah.
Even though they're in a world where they're not allowed to read, they're not allowed to write. All they know is what they've been raised with and what they're told about what's happening. The only other route is to become an aunt, which is a different experience for women. Kind of like a nun and
an aunt. Not an aunt.
Right.
Yeah, not a little.
An aunt.
An auntie.
An auntie. And they get to read the Bible. They get taught how to read when they become an aunt. And then they get to read the Bible. And that's what shakes their faith. Is because it doesn't say what they were told it said.
Oh, yeah.
Fascinating.
It's amazing how many Christians don't actually read the Bible. Or Mormons don't read all their scriptures.
Yeah, totally. Just made me reflect on my experience, and if anybody needs a good read that hits those buttons, it's a good way to process.
Yeah, the only reason we don't actually live in a theocracy like that is because we still have theoretical walls in place to keep that from happening. But there are certainly an alarming number of people who actually wish we lived in that world. I think it was so smart of Atwood to write a book in response to that kind of ideology. Yeah.
Like, is this what you want?
Right.
Because if you take it to the extreme, this is what it looks like. And the people who build it regret it. Because even they can't predict how horrifying that is. For everyone involved, even the people in power. Because then you have to create even more conniving ways to keep that power in a world where everyone's competing for it.
And not only is this what you would really want? Is this what you think Jesus Christ would want?
Seriously. Yeah. It's insane. There's just something different about reading something.
Yeah.
You get to hear...
I read books.
Yeah, I read books, okay? You get to hear the inner thoughts of those characters. Yeah. And it's just a really different thing. The Testaments has a happier ending, I would say.
That's good.
Or a more explicit, happier ending.
I've been reading, listening to one of Alan Watts' his audiobook.
The book?
No, the book I read, which is great. You're It. It's a collection of recorded talks.
You're It.
Of his. He's just great to listen to.
Yeah, I agree. There's so much.
Yeah.
On the Waking Up app.
A lot of them are in there. Yeah.
A lot of them, yeah. I've been working my way through. They're kind of categorized into different topics. So I've listened to the first few, but it's a dense catalog.
Yes.
I'm also reading a book for class called From Here to Eternity. And it's started to get me thinking about death and designing your own death.
Ooh, good. Let's talk about dying.
Good. Because the subtext is traveling the world to find the good death. And it's a book about the author's travels and what she learned from different cultural practices around death. It's just re-inspired me to figure out what I would want. This will sound silly, but I had a realization reading the first chapter because there's a community in Colorado that practices open air cremation, and it's I think the only one in the U.S.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
in the States.
Mm-hmm. It's in Creston.
It makes sense, it being Colorado.
Yeah, in a really small town, and they had to fight real hard to get that to be a thing. But people from all over the country write in and want to be cremated there.
Whoa!
But they can't. They're like legally only allowed to serve the people in the community. But it was interesting to read about, and one of the people who got it started, she talks about how she's a power Aries, meaning that her.
What the fuck is happening?
I know you'd hate it. Okay, I have a point. I know you don't subscribe.
My moon is in the 7th door of Virgo.
Meaning that like her big 3 are all Aries, like her sun, her moon, and her rising sign. So she's like triple fire, which makes sense that she's like
it totally makes sense.
Really into cremation. And like some of my friends who are fire signs are like, yeah, that really resonates with me too. And reading that made me realize that because I'm an earth sign and we're going into Taurus season, that cremation doesn't resonate with me. I would rather be buried. Like I want to be in the ground.
Really?
Yeah. Like not in a casket and not embalmed. But I want to be like wrapped in a shroud and then like in a simple wooden box and then put directly in the earth.
Newsflash.
Like under a tree, you know? So that's what I mean about, that's kind of the image that makes me feel peaceful about like what will happen when I die. That will happen when I die.
Interesting. Why the box?
I think just for practicality reasons.
But it would really only be for some preservation. But if you wanted to be naturally buried, the idea would be that you would decompose into the ground.
Right.
So it seems like you're still hanging on to a little bit
of
like,
a protection
my body
layer.
is actually special and I don't want the bugs to eat me.
Right. I don't know. Maybe there's something like, protective about it.
I'll just throw you in the ocean.
No. Like, I don't know, maybe you could put like things in the box, like some flowers or like, you know, I feel like it would be more of a ritual than like, I need to be protected because the box is going to decompose. I'm talking like untreated wood, like
pine.
Yeah, just very simple. Just like a semblance of kind of the typical burial, but make it green. And I don't know what color the shroud would be yet, but I'm thinking something like an earth tone, like a burnt orange kind of situation. And and then like my water sign friends both happen to be like, my burial, I would want to include water of some sort, like either be cremated and then scattered in the water or like burned and then like sent out in a little boat, you know. It's just really interesting to me how that resonates. So we, embarrassingly, you and I went to trivia and you didn't know that you're a water sign.
I did not.
Which was the answer to one of the questions. So,
because I don't have that.
Of course. Because I could only think of 2 of them and I couldn't remember what the third one was. And you're a Cancer. So, you're a little crab. And when I'm curious, like, if that resonates with you at all. Like, does water seem interesting to involve in your process? What do you want?
I don't know. Not to be embalmed, not to be traditionally buried, because we can't keep doing that.
We just can't.
But just on principle, we've talked about this before. You know, we'll walk through graveyards and it's cool. It's a peaceful place to me. It's interesting to see how long people have been there. But it's also like, okay, this person was buried here 150 40 years ago.
Yeah.
No one for the last 70, 80 years has any idea who this person was.
Mm-hmm.
Why do they have a monument?
Yeah.
And they're taking up space in the ground.
Great question.
We will literally have to start throwing people in the ocean. Where else are we going to put them?
Yeah.
Or we burn them.
Right.
We're going to have to let go as a culture of preserving our dead bodies.
Yeah, it's super interesting to think about how cultures create practices around death and what that means and how people interact with their loved ones. In my grief and loss class, we're talking a lot about just how disconnected we are as a culture from death and how we want it to be as though it is not.
Mm-hmm.
The book talked about comparing it to kind of the way that we consume meat, but we are not in touch with the slaughtering system.
No. Hide that from me, please.
It's like it doesn't happen because we don't see it. And, someone dies and their body is whisked away.
Yeah.
And it's really making me pause and reflect, like, what do I want to keep and what do I want to let go and how do I want to interact with this? Because I'm realizing that I've never actually seen a dead body. I have only seen, I saw Mao's body, but I don't actually think that is like his preserved body. I think that's probably a wax figure that they say is his body.
It could be.
At this point.
That would make more sense. But it's possible to preserve remains for a long time.
Yeah.
They did that to, I think it was Lenin.
Right. I know it happens. It just seems like an awfully long time.
Very weird. The only person that I've seen who was dead but not treated.
Right. I've only seen embalmed bodies.
Was our grandfather. Like right after he died.
Really? Like at the hospital?
Yeah. I was just thinking about it yesterday because in a few days is the anniversary of his passing. And I remember I had just come home from a tour. I was gone for 3 months. And I remember saying goodbye to him. A few days before I got home, he had a heart attack. And I think another stroke. And he was in the hospital. And I was on my way with our dad to the hospital. And while we were driving there, he passed. And that was very strange.
So what happened when you got there?
We got there and we went to where his room was. And
did you know?
No. We got there expecting to go in and they said, we're still cleaning up. And I don't think Dad or I put it together.
The hospital staff said we're still cleaning up.
Without, maybe there was an accident or... So we went to where our grandmother and our aunt were in the chapel.
Oh, they weren't in the room?
No. And they said he just passed.
Was Grandma with him when he actually died?
She may have been.
I guess if I were to make up what that scene would look like, she would still be in the room.
Yeah, no. I think he had another heart attack and he threw up and stuff. That's what they were cleaning up.
Whoa.
Yeah, it wasn't peaceful.
So you went in?
After they were done, yeah. And I just sat there and... watching Dad look at his dad that was gone.
Yeah.
But he didn't seem sad.
Really?
Mm-mm. He just looked at him like he's where he should be.
He didn't cry?
I think, teared up a little bit, but he didn't. No, not really.
So what made you cry was looking at Dad?
Mm-hmm.
If Dad hadn't been in the room, how do you think you would have reacted?
It was just strange to see him laying there. Like, just, I mean, he could just be asleep.
Yeah.
But there's that liminal space where
Yeah.
he is gone, but he's still there.
Yeah.
It's strange.
Yeah. I don't think I've heard you tell that story.
It's funny. I was just talking about it the other day. Somebody else. That was a long time ago, too.
Yeah.
Our grandma's still alive.
Yeah, I wasn't there when Grandpa died.
And I mean, I had just gotten back. I looked at the tour routing yesterday. I was like, where? I was in Los Angeles the night before. So we must have driven through the night to get home in the early morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we went out there sometime in the afternoon.
It makes me wonder what Grandma wants. Like,
yeah.
I don't, because I've never had that experience, I actually really want to be there when she dies.
There's an idyllic quality to that.
Yeah.
Like if we knew she was,
right.
it's any moment now.
Sure. But I feel like I've kind of avoided it up until now.
Sure.
Like, not necessarily intentionally, but I've had like reasons to not be there, even when like our cats died that we had since I was, 5.
Little, yeah.
Either I was on a mission or I was away at college or I was traveling, it's like people have just disappeared and I haven't actually been involved in the process of their dying.
Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people have died for us.
That's true. And that's why I think I'm thinking about it more because it's only going to happen more.
Yeah.
Like friends, family, loved ones. So I think it's on my mind more. I just had a dream that Grandma died.
Yeah.
And she was at home. And so I guess I'm wondering, like, is she going to end up in the hospital?
Mm-hmm.
Is she going to die at home? That kind of thing.
I really see her just not waking up one day.
Just in her sleep?
That's what she wants.
Yeah. Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Did she say that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, I went back to school in my late 20s, and one of my sociology classes was death and dying.
Mm-hmm.
And I did several interviews with her about her life, and I asked her about that.
Like how she wanted to go?
Mm-hmm. And she doesn't want to be 100, but she's about to be 95.
Right.
Yeah, when we did that, she was like 82.
Yeah.
We did that.
Yeah. I mean, for years, our family has been like, could be the last Christmas, like it could all be our last Christmas, but I get it. Like she actually is the closest one to death in our family chronologically. So I get the more pressing feeling behind, better see her now, It's just becoming increasingly odd to me that we are so removed from the process of taking care of our loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the book I'm reading, it talks about how about a century is the amount of time it's taken us to completely forget what that's like.
Yeah.
And for that to be totally legalistic and like we just completely surrender it over to these industries that deal with people's dead.
Death and dying is a big business.
Yeah.
It's very expensive to die, and it's very expensive to bury someone.
Yeah. It's just so odd to me. And the chapter about cremation was pretty, like, inspiring in a way because we're used to the idea of cremation, but this was just a way to make it more community-oriented, more ritualistic. Like, you can watch the body decompose, instead of it happening in, like, a warehouse.
Yeah.
And the chapter I'm reading now is a lot more, like, challenging for my sense of culture and understanding of death practices because it's about Indonesia and a group of people. I don't know if this is interesting to you. You can edit this out, but I'm having a hard time like processing what I'm reading because this group of people, this community, they keep their dead around for like a significant amount of time. Like one of the people in the book, I don't know if you've heard of this already, but one of the people, he said when he was growing up and his grandfather died, he lived with them for 7 years.
What?
Yeah. Like, I freaked out when I was reading this in the book. Like, his body was in their home, not just in their home, but he was in bed. Like, this boy slept in the bed with his dead grandfather for years. And in the morning, they would stand him up. And they would dress him. And then they would tuck him back in bed with them. I am dead serious. And I see you pulling away from me.
Oh, shut it down. Wrap it up. What the That's why. This decomposing body? After 7 years, it would be a skeleton.
They have sort of a practice of akin to taxidermy, like tannins in the skin.
Otherwise that body would just melt into that bed.
Like oil. There is sort of a mummification process.
Uh-huh.
And there's this ritual that they do every few years where they basically dig up like the grave and clean them, like brush them. I know you didn't ask for this, and I can stop if this is too much, but I'm having a hard time.
Uh-huh.
And I have a very vivid imagination, and so reading this book, I
can see it
really,
right now.
really in it. And I'll just tell you one more thing.
Okay.
They keep them in like these little houses, like, and then in boxes, and they're like shrines. It's not like they're like they dig up a 6-foot grave or whatever, but like it's so important to them to continue this relationship because in their belief system, the boundary between living and dead is so much softer.
Yeah.
Just like what you were saying, that liminal space, to them, it's a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And they really believe that like they're helping their spirit. They're getting more in touch with the spirit of that person by taking care of their body for as long as possible.
Uh-huh.
And it means a lot to preserve their body in like a pleasing way.
Yeah.
Rather than like letting them rot.
Yeah.
And so like they keep them around in the home longer, and then once they move them to a grave, they don't just put them away and forget about them. They have a frequent ritual of taking them out, dressing them. They take family photos with them. Let that sink in.
Uh-huh.
And then, they talk to them like they're listening.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, okay, I'm putting your clothes on now. I brought you cigarettes. I'm sorry, I don't have more money. Like they're like still like really communicating with these people, and they can't wait to see them again. Like this mother who lost her son when he was a teenager. His eyes are gone, and his teeth are gone, but like his body is still there, like preserved in a way that's like they still have like a relationship in a weird way, but like weird to us. To them, it's totally normal.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting with that. What's coming up for you? Well,
apparently some people don't have pictures in their head. And I have a friend like that. She says that she can see like ghostly concepts, but if I were to think of an apple, I see like a 3D textured
strong visual
apple
representation.
And she doesn't.
Yeah.
And I wished that I was her for about 20 seconds. Just
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a visceral reaction. And that's so fascinating that we're all humans, and some of us are raised in a way where that is completely normal.
Yeah.
And even desirable. And the most respectful thing you can do for your loved one. And for us, digging up someone's grave is like the ultimate disrespect.
Yeah.
Like rest in peace.
Mm-hmm. Leave it alone.
Right. And it's so wild. These traditions that we have that can vary so differently and contradict each other.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever read the book Stiff?
I don't think so.
Do you know what that is?
I don't think so.
Do you remember in 6 Feet Under where his niece gives a book to Nate and says, make sure David gets this.
Oh, yeah.
It's called Stiff by Mary Roach. And that was like one of the best advertisements ever, because obviously 6 Feet Under is about a family of funeral home owners and death is the whole thing. The book called Stiff is about what happens to your body after you die.
Interesting.
In all kinds of ways.
Yeah.
Different cultures, different, if you donate your body to science, experiments that are done on decomposition and all the myriad of preservation methods and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I've been thinking a lot about 6 Feet Under, too. Just because that was my first real introduction to these concepts. And the author of From Here to Eternity is a mortician in LA also. And she's really a big proponent of letting people take more agency in the process. And, she tells a story about like a nurse calling after someone had died, and the daughter wanted to keep her mother's body around a little bit longer. And the nurse was like, isn't that illegal? But, the author was like, no, that's totally fine. Like, tell her she can take as much time as she wants. Of course it's not illegal. It's her mother. Like, let her take the time she needs.
Yeah.
So it's just really weird that we have that built into our head. Like, am I going to get in trouble for, this person's dead? What do I do now?
Yeah.
We're just so afraid of it. Is what that says to me. But it would be really hard for me, I think, in that space where they look like they're just sleeping, to have them taken away. Yeah. Like, wow. Yeah, it's just getting real for me.
Yeah.
In a way that it hasn't before. So it's like beautiful to think about and very scary.
It is both.
Yeah. So that's what I've been thinking about.
Another hilarious episode of Siblings in Zion.
Also thinking about the idea of how to grieve, and I'm grateful that you and I can have conversations like these, because not everybody wants to sit with that or talk about it. And it's becoming really obvious to me, like, as a counselor in training, how much we push down emotionally, and it's not like it's going away.
Yeah.
We're just trying not to deal with it. And every time we experience a grief, it triggers all our past experiences with grief.
Yeah.
And so the more we ignore it and try to avoid it, we're actually just making it harder for ourselves down the line. And so I'm really trying to open myself to grieving, which looks like a whole bunch of different ways. And it's not even about just like a person dying.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just want to be open to what that is like, because it's really painful to watch someone deal with a present grief that's also triggering previous experiences that they haven't fully let go of or processed.
Yeah.
So just a PSA.
Yeah.
If you will.
Do you think you're going to read The Denial of Death again?
Maybe eventually, probably not soon.
Yeah.
I think there's a few other things that I need to read the first time.
Right.
I think I kind of get it that we're avoiding it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm more interested on what to do with it if I'm not avoiding it.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Kind of more on that trajectory. Like, how do I embrace this in a way that feels like I am welcoming all parts of life?
I better not have to bury you, dude.
I better fucking not.
Because I can't.
I good to know. I'm gonna need, if you go first, I'm gonna need better instructions though. So Gonna need you to think about it.
I will.
And I learned recently from a friend that I think a will is more like all my earthly possessions.
Yeah, you see all these records?
And what to do with them. And that's...
You need to know what to do with those.
Not, for me, not really that important. I don't have a lot of earthly possessions. Yeah. I'm more concerned with like what is happening to me. Uh-huh. And I think that falls... My understanding is more, it falls into the category of an advance directive.
Yeah.
Which I think is a lot easier to do or make. Mm-hmm. So that's something I'd like to take care of.
I've been meaning to do that. And I told you I want you to take all my personal belongings, like all my journals and stuff, because nobody else needs those. You're the only one that would really care or like really get anything out of it.
Yeah.
And then you can just throw them away. I don't care.
Yeah, I think it's really important to think about because it's going to happen. And it's going to be a lot easier for the people you're leaving if you leave what you want. Mm-hmm. You know?
There's going to be more advanced burial, quote unquote, alternatives within the next few decades. So things will probably change. Mm-hmm. Options will change. But yeah, I definitely don't want the standard package.
Mm-mm. Or the Mormon one.
Oh, nope. Anyway, you want to go walk through a graveyard or something?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay. I'm Brother Dan.
I'm Sister Lisa.
We hope you find a good death. Love you. Bye.
Bye.